Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Mill. My name is Rachel Ballatori, the founder and CEO of Mill & Co. and your host of the Mill podcast. Very excited to have a lovely guest with us today, Melissa Christenson. Her pronouns are she, her, and hers, and she's the president of Creative Training Resources. Melissa, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, easy breezy, beautiful, nice casual conversation. But first,
Great.
let's learn a little bit about Melissa. So she has over 35 years of progressive experience in learning and organizational development. Her passion is helping individuals, sales teams, and executives enhance their communication and public speaking skills to ensure they're delivering the right message in the right way. Pressure's on today to really enunciate all my words because I'm under the microscope
No
here.
filler words either.
She has been a member of the Northeast Human Resource Association's faculty for the past 7 years, delivering sessions on enhancing executive presence. And she's been the performance coach for TEDx Portsmouth, one of the largest TEDx venues in the country, for the past 5 years. Prior to founding CTR in 1998, Melissa was the worldwide training manager at Reebok International, maybe you've heard of them, where she oversaw all programs within the Reebok Professional and Management Development Center. As part of her work at Reebok, she received 3 National Telly Awards for her video-based learning programs. She received both her Master's of Education in Organizational Development and Bachelor of Arts in Human Resources degrees from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Pretty impressive background you've got here.
I sound good. Yes.
You do sound good.
Yes.
You wrote that.
I did write that. And fun
You
fact,
did those things.
Yeah. Fun fact for the 3 Telly Awards, we used Stephen Colbert in one of those videos when he was a nobody.
You put him on the map, is what you're saying.
Of course we did. Yes.
Pretty much.
I'm not sure it was us. He was working for Second City out of Chicago, and we auditioned him. He looked like a runner, and we needed somebody who looked like a runner and a retail sales associate. That's how young he was at the time as well. He looked like a young kid, and yeah, we used him.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, cool. So let's add that to your resume next time. Okay?
I think I should. Yes.
Yeah, right into the bio. So, obviously we've just skimmed over the very, very high level surface of your background, but I'd love to learn a bit more about your journey and where your love for public speaking and communication really began for you.
So I'm naturally an introvert, which nobody ever believes, but I am. I'm an introvert. And so my passion was hard won or hard fought, depending on how you look at it, success. I went through my first training program when I was an intern for a company based in New Jersey. And I said, oh my gosh, there's got to be a better way. I was so bored. So that's actually what motivated me to change the direction I was going in. I was actually studying to be human resources. And I decided I wanted to go into learning and development and find a better way to engage people in the learning process. And I had zero ability. I like to say I was a train wreck when I first started my career, and I really was a train wreck. I had was my favorite filler word. I would rock so far you could see the bottom of my foot. That's how far up I would rock. Close off body language. I had very little natural ability, but I did have the passion. And I also knew that instructional designers didn't make as much as delivery people. That was my other motivation. So.
Money and food tend to be 2 of the major ones that motivate folks. I won't mention the third.
Yes, exactly.
And so as an introvert, did you find that you struggled with public speaking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because I was naturally shy. I didn't really have a voice growing up. I could speak, but I chose not to. I have an older sister and brother who did most of my talking for me. My father always told me I mumbled and I need to enunciate. So I really had to get out of my own way and learn everything that I now bring to other people.
Yeah. That's great. Well, you're a walking, talking example of the things that you're teaching to others. And, I'm curious, of the folks that you've worked with, what have you found is a misconception that people have about public speaking? Because I know personally, I love public speaking. I thrive in those environments. I love commanding a room.
Yeah.
I think some folks think that it's easier than it is my perception,
Yeah.
having zero experience working in this industry that you work in.
Yeah. So I find the opposite, that people think it's harder than it really is. And
Interesting.
for me, the big lesson there is it's not about you. It's about your audience. And that ties back into being an introvert. One of the things that helped me be more successful is changing my mindset from everybody's looking at me, all eyes on me, to no, I'm here for my audience. I'm here to give them information that they need. So simply shifting where my focus was made a huge difference. And that's one of the key things that I teach people is it's not about you.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting. I would consider myself more extroverted than not.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fascinating that my take was that people think it's easier than it is.
Yeah.
Versus someone who might be more introverted that's like, oh, I can't possibly do that.
Yeah. It's the flip. Yes. Yeah.
So fascinating. And you've mentioned filler words a few times, well, how do you help people move past them? I've worked with some folks, I've had some people in my circles, some friends even, that it is a constant part of the vocabulary. How do you work through that?
So there's a couple ways. I'll give you my technique, which people always go, what? So listen to yourself. Why are they happening? Most people don't even know that they're happening. They're not aware of it. So you have to raise your awareness and really listen to yourself. Problem is we don't. We're so busy talking and thinking at the same time that we're not hearing what's coming out of our mouth. So the strategy that I use and I encourage people to use is repeat silently in your head right after you verbally said something. Say it again silently. Because that does two things. One, it forces you to listen, which raises that awareness, and it forces you to slow down. And that's ultimately what we want. The faster we talk, the more we're going to add those filler words in.
Right.
Yeah. I also encourage people, they're all worried about and ah. All right, great. If you have too many, that's annoying. But really, I'm worried about kinda, like, and you know. Those are words that have meaning and take the power of what you're saying away. So you don't kind of want to tell somebody something. You want to tell them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. I worked with one individual at a previous company who really struggled with filler words, including the ones that carry weight, like kinda,
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
types of thing. And one of the ways that I helped this person work through it was I found, at least in this particular case, that they were not prepared for the presentation. They put it together but had not rehearsed it.
Yeah.
And so that when push comes to shove and you're standing there with eyes and ears and Zoom faces and people on the other end of the conference line listening to you, suddenly you're nervous because you're not prepared. And so the phrase I was using quite a bit and still use to this day is that poor planning perpetuates paralysis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're just saying, because you're trying to fill the space, because you're trying to think of the next thing you want to say, and you're thinking that that's going to fill the space. And so that act for that one individual in that specific case, that was a big kind of win for me. And so I'm curious, I know you've probably had a million of them. What's a transformation story that's really stuck with you over the years?
So coming back to the ums and ahs and using way too many of those, one of the biggest transformation, there's two. I'm going to share two. One was a gentleman who would say after pretty much every word. It was bad. I counted 250 in a very brief presentation. So I simply said to him, we're going to use this technique, adverse conditioning. So when you say or ah, I'm going to clap really loud. Because what happens then is your brain will actively work to not get that negative reinforcement. And by my simply standing there doing this, he was able to get up and do his next presentation, which was longer than the first one. And he did not have one or one ah. It was bananas crazy.
Wow.
How effective it was. So again, it's slowing down and really listening to what you're saying and be purposeful in it. And I love the coaching that you gave that person because being prepared will help. The challenge is then you get to Q&A. And we can't always plan or anticipate those questions. So we need to break the bad habit in general, bigger than planning and preparing, but it does start with that.
Yeah,
And
that's such a good point.
yeah, the second transformational one, I was just so proud of this person, which is why I have to share it. I don't even remember her name, but it was an older woman who was getting ready to retire. And she was the receptionist at, I think it was Fleet Bank, some big organization. She had no reason to take the presentation training, but she said, I have been afraid of this my entire career and it's kept me back. And she cried the first practice. She cried. She said, I can't do this. I can't do this. So I sat with her at lunch and I reframed her I can't to I can. And she got up and she delivered a perfect presentation. She got a standing ovation. And to see this woman who was finishing her career bust through this fear was transformational for me. And it was also really indicative of the power of the mind and what we tell ourselves we can't do versus what we can do.
I think your job title needs to change, to be honest with you. You're delivering more for people and their psyche and their self-worth and their self-confidence, their self-awareness.
Yeah.
Just like, I used to like, than just how to deliver a good presentation and be a good communicator.
Oh yeah. It all stems from that, because the first thing I'll say to people when I'm doing one-on-one coaching is, do you believe in your message? Because if they don't believe in their message, I've got some work to do. It's going to come through in your pores. And then the second thing after we get through that is, are you the right person to be delivering this? And if they say no, I'll poke at that and say, why not? Inevitably, they are the right person, but they're bringing that self-doubt and that fear in there. And once I break through those two things, they tend to do a lot better when they actually get up to do their final presentation.
Boy, if that's not applicable to everything in life.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. And, working with so many people, I'm sure you've seen some really fascinating presentation habits. Can you share maybe some common mistakes or hurdles or things that you've noticed frequently or really infrequently that you're like, that's a first?
I haven't really had many firsts lately because there are so many common mistakes that people make. I would say one of the biggest ones for people is, what do I do with these? They don't know what to do with their hands, so they constrain themselves or do what I call, I don't know that I can back up anymore, the fig leaf.
Yeah.
And I call it the fig leaf because eyes go where the hands are.
Right.
So your audience is going to be looking wherever your hands are. And so if you are having your hands in front of you, that's where everybody's looking. And that's not where I want people looking. I want them looking up here. And really, our bodies are our friends. They know what to do. Your gestures, if you let them go and trust them, will do exactly what you need to have happen.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've seen that. I remember early in my days, I took a public speaking. It was actually called an oral presentations class at Johns Hopkins University.
You're dating yourself with that.
Big time. I'm aware. And I pulled out a gray hair this morning. And so there was a task to put together a 2 to 3 minute speech that you had to memorize of something that exists in the world. So a lot of people did speeches from past presidents, war heroes, celebrities, movies. And I landed on the in-flight safety speech for aircrafts.
Yeah.
And I remember rehearsing with some students and they said the same thing. I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel like if I wave them around, it's going to be too chaotic. But if I just put them in my pockets, I'm not going to deliver the message. And I remember in that moment being so thankful that I selected a speech that also incorporated hand gestures.
Yes.
Right? Like pointing. And from that moment, it was such a lesson for me that I didn't really fully grasp for a little while, but I was thinking to myself, wow, if I can just incorporate hand movement into describing what I do, also, I'm Italian, so like this is like the easiest thing in the world for me. I have to like actively keep my hands still.
Yeah.
Um, but it was so funny to me to be like, wow, of course I picked a speech that requires the use of my hands. And all my student fellow, classmates were like, I don't know what to do. What do I
I
do? And I was
know.
like,
Yeah,
no, I'm putting it exits.
I know. That's awesome. I love it.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, honestly, even some contractors that we work with have a hard time making slides engaging or keeping them from being too text heavy, but then not having enough context. Do you have any tools and tricks that you recommend for keeping slides engaging, communicative, but not distracting?
So many tips. So many. So first and foremost, stop making your slides be a leave behind handout reference. Doesn't work. Because in order for it to have value in that context, you've got to have a lot of words on a slide. And people can't listen and read at the same time. And we're hardwired. As soon as we see words on a screen, we're going to start reading, whether it's a remote presentation or in person.
Mm-hmm.
So have a different document be your leave behind and make your slides work for you. So first outline your presentation, then create your slides. So often I see people pulling together their slides while they're creating their presentation, and now you're force fitting your message. Instead, get that full outline and then go, okay, I need a slide to remember this. I need a slide to remember that, and so on and so forth. My other big coaching is use the power of 3. No more than 3 bullet points per slide and no more than 3 words per bullet point. That should be all you need to prompt your brain what you need to remember to say. And please use an image if at all possible. In fact, I would rather you have 3 images and no words and no bullet points.
Yeah.
So those are some of my top level tips. And also be careful of AI. Right now, I know a lot of folks are running their presentations through asking ChatGPT or Copilot to create slides for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there yet. The slides I'm seeing come out of Copilot and ChatGPT are full of words.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times the images or the icons aren't a map to what the message is. So right there, you've got to disconnect. But
we explored using a platform called Gamma, Gamma.
Yeah.
And we still use it, but we have to edit quite a bit. And anytime we ask for an image, the folks in the visuals have anywhere between 3 and 8 fingers per hand.
Yeah.
Rarely 5.
Yeah. It's not ready.
If you're moving quickly, right? If you're just, I just got to get this done, you're not going to pick up on stuff like that.
No.
And that's the danger of AI when it comes to presenting. And, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But before we get into that, I want to just kind of wrap up a little bit more about your personal coaching style, which is, how did you shape that? We have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast. And one of the very first things, even when I'm working with folks, that they're like, who am I?
Yeah.
What are my values? And does that come out in my business, or is that separate from my brand? So how did you form the coaching style that you have today? And has it evolved since you launched your business?
So I hope so, because I launched in 98. I hope I've evolved since then. Yeah. So when I first started, I would say I was more insecure. I wasn't confident. And so my coaching style came across as more tentative, more suggestive. Now I would say my style is pretty direct, mostly because people don't have time. However, I balance that directness with very strong empathy and understanding. I was there. I know what it takes to expose yourself to 10 executives or 1,000 people in an audience. I've lived it, so I get that fear and I get that anxiety, and I can meet people where they're at. But I am pretty direct, and I've always said to people, before I will take on a coaching assignment, I meet with them and say, we've got to make sure this is a fit for both of us. And I have no ego. So if my style doesn't work for you, I will find somebody whose style does. I've never had anybody take me up on that, but I will tell you, I would move heaven and earth to find a person that would work with that person, because at the end of the day, it's about making them better. That's my goal, my drive, my motivation. Sure, the money's great, but it's really more about helping them succeed. And if that's your mindset, you've always got to win.
It's funny. I think that we use the same verbiage when we talk to clients.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you can work with a cheaper agency.
Sure.
You can work with a more expensive agency, but you will not get an experience of working with Mill & Co. with anyone else, that of which I am sure.
Yeah.
And so I will be blunt in the same way that you are and just say, hey, we're not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And we're not hurting for business either, in a good way,
Yes.
So we're here to help. We're here to refer. And I have found that as a business owner, when it comes to setting up even my style of pitching, selling, and then managing and maintaining relationships, that level of almost brutal honesty and upfront communication, it has always served us better than in the beginning. I did the same thing. I was a little more tentative. I was trying to feel the water, dip a toe in before I did the cannonball to the belly flop, but that over time I found, especially, as a woman in a position of power, I have had to step it up.
Yeah.
Or get run over.
Yeah. And I've said no to corporate clients that call and say, I've got this person, here's their profile. And again, my first question, are they coachable?
Right.
Do they want this? If they don't waste my time. Don't waste their time.
100%. That's such a good question to ask.
Yeah.
I'm curious as well, there's a lot that's changed with your business, your approach. We had this little thing a couple of years ago called a global pandemic, if you remember.
Very well, yeah.
The landscape of meetings and presentations changed overnight to virtual. And many of those meetings have stayed virtual. I mean, this podcast is virtual, right?
Right.
How has the virtual setting changed, if at all, your coaching style when it comes to giving presentations for folks?
The coaching hasn't changed as much. The training, so I do coaching and training. The training is harder when it's virtual. When I am in front of people, I'm able to demonstrate things and use my voice more effectively, whereas doing it remotely, the software will oftentimes remove. Can you hear this on your end, or did it remove it? The clap? Can you hear it?
I can hear it.
Okay. So on Zoom, if I do that really loud, it removes it because I have it set to remove background noise. And so that makes it harder when I'm trying to illustrate different techniques with your voice. And let's face it, I don't find virtual nearly as engaging. And that's the number one thing I hear from people going through my program. They would much rather be in an in-person meeting, presentation, training, because it's more engaging. Reality is, though, this can reach far more people when we're virtual. So I think it's finding that balance. But I will tell you one thing I also refuse to do is hybrid. If a client says to me, we have half our participants are going to be joining remote and half are in person, I say, well, we can go all in person or all remote, but it does not work for what I do to have a hybrid.
I completely agree with that. We do annual strategy sessions with our clients, and it's all or the other, all of one or the other.
Right.
It can't be an in and out, because then inevitably someone's on the conference line like, can you repeat that?
Right.
I'm like, no, I can't, because I'm on a deadline. We got to hit 5 o'clock quickly.
Move it. Yeah.
So, I'm with you on that. I think it's as someone particularly in your position, in my position, where I care quite a bit about the outcome. You care a ton about what they're getting out of working with you. Even if they feel like it was a great experience, I don't. And I can't sleep at night knowing that I didn't deliver something as best as I possibly could.
Right. Yes. 100% agree. And
so we talked about AI. I promised we'd circle back to it. Does it scare you? Does it excite you? Are you neutral? Does it keep you up at night? How are you feeling about the rise of AI when it comes to presentations that are generated, people using AI as a coach? I have friends that use AI to give them pep talks every morning.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on how we're not using our brains as much as we should be.
Yeah.
However, I fully embrace the expediency of a tool like
Right.
a
Yes.
ChatGPT
Yeah.
or a Copilot. So, what are you thinking?
So, yes, 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 terrifies me to answer your question. So,
Cool.
yes, I'm excited about it. Yes, I'm afraid of it. I, I'm a techie. I love all things tech. So when AI first started coming out, dabbled in it, a lot of things, but presentation skills have to have a human aspect to it. So I do the TEDx performance coaching. I don't want TEDx presentations to be created by AI. I want the person, their authentic self and their story. Now, having said that, can AI help clean up and recognize this thread doesn't quite connect? Yes, if you use it in that way. But my fear is we will swing too far and rely too much on it and lose our own voice.
Right.
And from a business perspective, yeah, I'm terrified. I just coached 2 teams that were doing a presentation to an executive team about how this company can use AI going forward. And one of the teams did their entire presentation, was done through AI, wrote the presentation, their PowerPoints, which they, after they got with me, had to go back in and change because they didn't work. But they even incorporated videos, and there wasn't the 6 fingers or 7 fingers. It was this very attractive person doing the sound bite. The messaging was spot on. And I went, oh, how long am I going to be relevant?
Right.
Nobody knows.
You know, I struggle with that question myself because any marketer will tell you that they're shaking in their boots a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Right. Now, visual design and development is not where it needs to be, particularly for branded things.
Of course, yeah.
We just did a 2-day photo video shoot with a client. AI cannot replicate those exact moments with their entire staff, their faces in their office space yet. Yet, depending on when this podcast goes live, maybe they'll have it figured out by then. So to me, it's more of, as a business owner in any industry, the best thing you can do is be aware of what's happening with AI.
Yeah.
Don't put your head in the sand. I would recommend not leaning on it 100% because then the authenticity of everything you've built goes out the window.
Yes.
But you have to be aware. And I've described AI as a tool for expediency, not the solution.
Yep.
There's going to have to be human involvement in the initial maybe 10 to 30%. Maybe AI occupies another middle chunk of that percentage, but you have to have a human being at the back end to fact check, to proofread,
Right.
to make sure it's in the right formatting. And so for me, that's how we're looking at things like AI. Okay, if there's something really time consuming, we want to research grants in the state of New Hampshire. Pop that into the ChatGPT, right?
Super fast. Yeah.
Super fast. You don't have to spend time. Okay, now let's filter by which ones have applications that are due in 2025. Boom, done in a few seconds. Tool for expediency, not the solution.
Right.
It can certainly help write parts of the grant, sure, but it's not going to understand everything that we do to achieve this grant and why we want this grant money and how we're going to be using this. I mean, it's impossible for me to download all of that. And by the time I've downloaded all of that,
you may as well have done it
yourself.
Yeah.
And so I have such mixed opinions on it, but my hot take is it's a tool for expediency. It's not a solution, but you cannot put your head in the sand when it comes to AI.
I agree. My son desperately wants to take over my business. He's only 20. And I'm at a delicate older age where I will be retiring most likely in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've said to him, find an AI training need. Together we will design the program, and then you can go out and take my business evolve it into what that looks like. But it will include AI. There is no doubt.
Right.
Yeah, we cannot put our heads in the sand.
Mm-mm.
No.
Well, that's very exciting for you to have a succession plan in
I
place
do.
already.
I do. I'm bringing him to Chicago this year, and we are going to. He's going to be my little sidekick for presentation training for one of my clients.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's a
so
great presenter, which is very rewarding.
unsurprising
Yeah.
either. He grew up in a household of,
Yeah.
Oh, did you see I just used
You
as
did
a
use,
filler word? It's because we've been talking for a while now, Melissa. I'm starting to fatigue a little bit.
I know. Well, he would walk by if he were here and he would say, "Aren't you going to nail her on her, Because he's so trained.
He's your accountability buddy, and I
He
love
is.
that for both of you.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting that, within the next couple of years, you're thinking about a succession plan, an exit plan.
Yeah.
Before then, though, what's next? Any projects, big speaking engagements, courses, anything in the works that you want to share?
So I was contemplating taking much of the content from my in-person program and my remote presentation training and putting it out and charging a subscription fee for it. I just haven't had the time to do it. But guess what would allow me the time to do it? AI. So that most likely will be my big project. In short term, I have a client that I am now going to fully immerse myself in how they can use Copilot to better create their PowerPoints. And I'm going to figure out what are those prompts to get it to the place where it needs to be. So that's my short term. Long term, keep doing what I'm doing. I love what I do. And the TEDx Portsmouth stuff is so rewarding. It's all volunteer. And it can't replace that. So great. Yeah. Smart people.
And you love stuff.
Yeah. I'll never retire fully. I will always volunteer and give back. Right. Especially when it comes to women business owners. Sorry for the gentleman out there. But I am very passionate about helping women business owners get a leg up, if you will.
I could not agree with you more. Yeah. You and I are we're in the same car on the same highway.
Yeah.
Driving to the same place on that one.
Yeah.
And so just to take it home, Melissa, what's one piece of advice that you wish every presenter or aspiring presenter would take to heart?
Change your mindset from I'm so nervous I can't do this to I got this, which is in fact my license plate. So if you see me driving around, you see a white SUV with I got this license plate, that would be me.
You get cut off on the highway.
Yeah, exactly.
She's got this.
She's got this. Right. It is been such a powerful mantra in my life. It helped me through so many hard times, changing my mindset. And I find when I coach people on that, when it comes to presenting from, I don't want to do this, I'm so nervous, I'm not good at it, to I got this. Don't let that negative noise in. It'll come out in your pores. Same way as the negative message. You've got a choice.
Yeah, I love that. And I will be reminding myself of that, not only for work, but for life and parenthood and being a daughter and a sibling and a cousin and if just a friend.
Yeah.
I've got this. I think especially as women, particularly as women business owners, that feeling of imposter syndrome is ever present, which is unfortunate because it really shouldn't be, and there's no reason for it to be there. Yeah. But I would never lie and say I've never experienced that. And so the mindset shift of I'm not sure I can do this to
I got
this. Yeah. And I've got this. What's so fascinating and lovely about that phrase is it's not saying I've got this perfectly.
Nope.
I've got this without fault. Nope. It's just I've got this.
I can do this.
Yeah. I can do this. I love that so much. Yeah. That's wonderful advice. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. This is an awesome conversation. I always love chatting with you. For anyone that's interested in learning more about Melissa Christenson or her business, please follow her online. She will be tagged in our emails and our social content. For those who are interested in hearing more about the mill, you can check us out on our website, Spotify, or YouTube. Thank you so much, Melissa. It was great chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Till next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.